Starting in a comfortable kneeling position, if that's a comfortable position for you. Oh, and then spotlight this. I'm sorry, y'all. We've been doing this for a year. I don't know why this like throws me for a loop every single time. There we go. And now I can see everybody. Perfect. Closing the eyes, tuning in with the breath if we have not been already. And if your toes are tucked here, untuck them. No need to put undue pressure on those heels, on those feet. We can always tuck them in a little bit here. Taylor, you just missed it, but I did say we're going to be doing some heart opening today. And just thinking about that expansion as we've been very closed off, I feel like, definitely because of the weather, definitely just because we're all, feeling the effects of having been doing this now for a year almost. Can everybody hear me? Perfect. Okay. So thinking about that, if you even want to bring the sun into it, this sunny disposition of like, wow, I want to bask in the glow of this. I want to bask in the warmth of this. So we're thinking about that as we move today. On an inhale here, see if you can sit up a little bit taller. And with your exhale, can you soften? Whatever that means for you here, maybe softening in the face, softening the shoulders, just noticing any areas that, again, you're holding that tension, you're scrunching up here instead of allowing the opening to happen. And we're noticing the breath. We're noticing where we're holding tightness in the body here. Noticing anything else that this practice kind of shows us, kind of opens us up to. And when you're ready, gently blinking open the eyes. Still sitting on the knees here, let's bring palms to the tops of the thighs, wherever that feels comfortable for you. You can bend the elbows as much as you'd like here. Lengthen through the spine, soften those shoulders. So really, a lot of heart opening is shoulder work as well. So like opening the heart, shrugging those shoulders back, all kind of the same thing. Shoulder opening, heart opening. Just different planes of the body here. And we're going to move through some cat-cow, but we're going to move slow and with the breath. And I want you to notice, because this is a movement we're all very familiar with now at this point, I want you to see if you can pay attention to the subtle shifts in the body as we're moving. So on the inhale, as that gaze kind of lifts, maybe you even pull the hands slightly back on the thighs. Notice this opening in the chest. What happens in the shoulders here? Can you feel that subtle sensation of the shoulders moving back? On an exhale, taking that entire breath to press the palms into the thighs as you tuck the chin and draw the heart back here. Notice how the shoulders shift. They now kind of open across the back to facilitate for that closing in the front. Inhale, draw that all back. Again, you can move the hands, you can bend the elbows. This is more about noticing what these movements, what these actions are in the body. Exhale, taking it back into your cat pose. Nice and slow here. Notice how that low spine shifts, that pelvis kind of moves. Inhale to draw yourself forward. And exhale, take it back. So a few more rounds like this with your breath. We're just doing it nice and slow, nice and mindful. Taking the entire breath to get that movement. And then at the bottom of that breath, that's when you start to just pull it back. One fluid motion here. Notice if anything happens in the face. Does the face feel softer in cat or cow? Are you kind of tensing any muscles here as you move through? Can you relax the lower body even though it's not moving? Taking 2 more rounds here. Next time you come through your cow, you can stop in that neutral spine position here. And we'll clasp the hands in front of us, interlace those fingers, palms face the body, arms go out towards the front here. And on an inhale, can you keep those shoulders soft and down the body here as you lift the arms above the head? And you can settle back here into your seat, still keeping that lift in the spine. You maybe even that slight opening in the heart. Notice as those shoulder blades start to draw back along the spine. And on an exhale, side stretch to the right. And again, noticing these subtle shifts, these subtle movements that are happening in the body. So I can only speak for myself here, but when I took it over to the right, I can kind of feel my left hip shift out to the left. So now bring your awareness to the right ribs. Can you, while still extending through the left side body here, can you draw those right ribs down towards that right hip bone? And that's not to say you're drawing the hip bone up to meet the ribs, you're drawing the ribs down to meet the hip bone. And again, this is a lot of stuff. Take from it what you will. Inhale draws you back up through center. Now we're taking it over to the left. Notice if those shoulders scrunched up. Can you draw them down as you reach that right side body long? And this time, draw the left rib cage down towards that hip. And it's a very subtle different here. You know, if you're moving the hips up to, it's like really hard to see in the video too. If you're moving those hips up to meet the ribs, you'll feel the ribs kind of lift here. But if you're moving the ribs down, those hips don't move. It's more that extension of the right side body. Inhale draws you to center. We're going to take it over to the right one more time. And then release that right hand down. Same action here, bringing the right ribs down towards that right hip. Keep stretching long through this left side body. Taking a big breath in here. Keeping that left shoulder soft. Exhale, take it into a twist to the right. So left hand comes to the outside of that right thigh. You can be on right fingertips here. Maybe that hand's on a block. Maybe your hands are on your feet or your right hand is on your feet. And noticing where you might be holding tension here. Can you release? And then this right palm is going to plant. So you can actually shift your body back here so that you can plant that right palm. Inhale, sweep the left arm as you lift the hips, finding that extension in the left side body. Taking another inhale here. Exhale, draw the hips down, left hand sweeps down. We'll clasp the fingers again here. Palms face the body as we draw the arms away. Inhale, lift the arms, and exhale, take it over to the left. Release that left hand down. Draw left ribs towards that left hip as you reach and lengthen through this right side. Big breath in here. And on our exhale, take a twist to the left. Right hand to the outside of that left thigh, left fingertips, left hand on a block. Keep lengthening through the spine here. Each inhale, maybe growing a little bit taller. Each exhale, perhaps you feel that subtle shift where you're twisting just a little bit deeper to the left here. Where is that happening? Where in the spine? Where in the body can you feel that? And then again, shifting however you need to bring that left palm down here. And on an inhale, lift the hips, sweep that right arm up, reach nice and long through the right side body. Exhale, release the hips down, come back to that seat. So working on this open heart here. How do we do this? We'll clasp the hands one more time, not going for the side stretch this time. Draw the hands away, bring the palms to the top of the head here. Draw the elbows out towards the sides, relax the shoulders. This pose can give you a tendency to kind of scrunch those shoulders up. So can you roll them down the back here? And then we will stay seated where we are. I'm sorry, I'm reading through my notes. I wrote a little extra today. Just to kind of guide us through this, remember what I was doing. So press the top of the head into the palms here. And from here, again, just taking this moment to notice what's happening. So as we're working on these heart openers, can you lengthen through the spine here, really pressing the top of the head into the hands back into the top of the head. Notice if that helps draw those shoulders open a little bit more so that this heart can come forward now. Maybe this becomes, this pressure of the head into the hands, you can start to lift out of the hips and start to take this into a little bit of a back bend. Maybe not, maybe you're still here working on this and you still can feel that opening in the front and the back of the body. All right, release the hands here. You can draw the shoulders down, maybe even take a few circles with the shoulders if they're feeling tight. And then we'll take both hands down behind us onto fingertips or onto the palms. And on an inhale, lift the hips up towards the sky here. Think about lengthening through the front of the body, lengthening through the spine. Can you shrug those shoulder blades towards each other here? Take the gaze a little bit higher. Exhale, release the hips back down towards the heels. This time come to stand on the knees here. And I'm going to take this layer off. So today, kind of setting up for a camel pose, and that's going to look different for everybody. We're not coming into full camel here this early. We're not coming into it at all if that's where you're at today, but I'll help you kind of get it set up this early on here. So we're bringing the hands to the low back here. And if that's uncomfortable for you, you can also just kind of bring them to the waist here, right above the hips. So if you can, fingertips point down, kind of pressing down into the butt here, and the butt of the palms is in that little space in your low back where it meets the butt. Draw those shoulder blades back towards each other. Draw the elbows towards each other here. And from here, we'll take kind of an inkling of camel. So if we've done this in class together before, I know I have with most of you here, we know about how the hips have a tendency to kind of move back as we come into our camel. So what we're focusing on here is, one, lifting up out of those hips. So that's why the hands are here. They kind of facilitate that opening. If you're pressing the palms down into the top of the butt or the bottom of the spine here, that helps you remember to kind of lift up out of those hips. As you lift up out of those hips kind of draw forward here, which then helps you start to move back into the upper spine here. So I think a lot of what happens in camel for a lot of people is that the bend comes from this low back here, and that's going to kill your lumbar spine. So we've got the hands here to remind us to keep lifting up out of the hips. As we lift up, we send those hips forward so that the hips stay lined up over top of those knees. Draw those shoulder blades towards each other here to help open that heart up. And here we are. We're basically in camel. We just don't have the hands reaching down. This is already a heart opener. This is a back bend. Stay here, one more breath. See what your limit is here. And then on your exhale, release, take the knees wide, take toes to touch, and come down into a child's pose. Yes, hello. Hi. In this child's pose, really think about sending those hips down towards the heels. So now we kind of scrunched up our spine. Now we want to think about lengthening the spine. So maybe that means you're on fingertips here, really pressing the tips of the fingers into the earth to help facilitate sending those hips back. Still finding that opening in the shoulders, but now we really want to lengthen that spine. And then on an inhale, Coming up here into a tabletop position. Lilith, the cat, is trying to figure out why she can't get onto her cushion. I've got an incense in the way. Sorry, cat. Okay, tabletop, fingers spread nice and wide. We know this, we've been here before. Knees underneath the hips, send that right foot back, tuck the right toes, send some energy through that right heel. And if you'd like here, think about lengthening through the left side body as you take the gaze to the right side, to that kind of right pinky toe here. Can you gaze at that toe? And while you're doing this, that same action of drawing this right rib closer towards that right hip to facilitate some length on the left side of the body. From here, you can take the gaze back to the front of the mat. Scoot this left foot out to the outside of the left side of the mat and place the big toe side of this right foot down. We're coming into our modified side plank. So left shoulder above that left wrist. You've got your brace here with this left leg, and then we're planting through the right foot, opening up the front of the body as we draw this right shoulder down the back. Inhale, maybe you lift that right arm up towards the sky. Maybe if you want kind of that whole length action, you draw that right arm all the way up towards the front of the mat here, finding some length in the right side body. Big breath in here. Can you open up the heart just a bit more? Almost like you were coming into that, wild thing. We're really finding this opening across the front of the body. And then on your exhale, maybe you take your hand to that right knee. Maybe you can just step it up. We're stepping this right foot all the way up to the top of the mat into our lunge here. Yeah, you can use your hands. You can use whatever you need to get into that shape here. And then allow the hips to soften down. So just because we're working on heart opening doesn't mean we're doing the rest of the body, right? From here, squeeze those thighs towards each other. Come back to the breath. Find a softening here, taking that moment to, again, notice the sensations happening in the rest of the body. Maybe you're feeling this in the hips. Maybe you're feeling this in the shoulders. Take that left hand down onto a block or onto the mat. Open up to the right, just like we just did in that modified side plank. We're opening up the front of the body, maybe sending that right hand up to the sky for our lunge twist here. Yeah. Inhale, can you reach a little bit taller? Maybe twist a little bit deeper. Exhale, right hand comes down to frame that foot. Send the hips back as you lengthen through that right leg. And you can draw the right toes kind of up towards the face here as you're sending the ball of that foot forward. Even as we're folded here, we're still thinking again about the expansion in the front of the body. So notice if you're kind of curled up here, do you have a cat spine as you're folding over this leg? Can you turn it into more of that cow spine where we're drawing energy through the spine here, opening up, gaze is lifted, drawing those shoulders back, and then we fold from that space. We fold with the heart first. Take a bend back into that right knee, sweep this left leg behind you here. You might need to adjust. We're coming into a modified side angle. So right heel is going to be mostly in line with this left knee. And then you'll notice, how much space you kind of need between these legs to really start to dip into this bent right knee here. Totally up to you if you want to take right elbow on top of that right thigh. This is a great place to be. You can press that elbow into the thigh. Or if you've got a block, I did not bring mine nearby here. Imagine I have one. You can have hand down on a block. Maybe that right hand comes all the way down onto the ground. Keep lengthening through the left side of the body, wherever you are here, whether it's elbow to knee, We're still lengthening. Hand on block or floor, still lengthening. Open up again, this front of the body. And then you can extend left arm high towards the sky here. Ooh, feel that in the shoulder maybe. Can you draw that shoulder blade down the spine here, keeping that opening? Big breath in here. On our exhale, we're sweeping left arm down to the inside of that foot as we kind of sweep this left leg back, coming into a lizard. So you can heel toe right foot out to the top corner of that mat. Here for a few breaths. So if you would like to take any other version of this, feel free here. Bring a little energy into it by lifting that back knee. But again, focus of today, noticing what's going on in the heart. So if you're feeling like you're scrunched, can you draw the heart forward here between the arms, especially if you've got the elbows down here? This is one that really kind of starts to facilitate that gaze back towards the back knee here, and your back starts to round. Can you start to draw the heart forward towards the hands? Take a little bit of that roundness out of the back. If you're down on the elbows, come back up onto the palms. If you've got back knee lifted, take it back down to the ground, and then we'll sweep right leg behind us, coming back into a tabletop. And you can adjust your spacing as needed here, finding that nice neutral tabletop once more. From here, extend left leg back. Toes are tucked, heel reaches towards the back of the mat. Think about drawing those left ribs towards that left hip as you take the gaze to the side of the left foot, lengthening through the right side body here. We didn't do it on the other side, but maybe you extend that right hand towards the top of the mat, a little further extension here. And then from here, really planting down into that right hand. So if you had it extended, bring it back into that tabletop shape. Sweep that right foot to the outside of the right of the mat, and then come down onto this left foot. Left foot plants, open up the entire front of the body here for this modified side plank. Left arm lifts. Maybe you keep that extension in the left arm and you draw it all the way up towards the top of the mat. From here, taking whatever you need to take this left foot all the way up to the top of the mat into our lunge, and then allowing yourself to kind of settle in there. So hands can be on blocks here, hands can be on this upper thigh, whatever allows you to soften into these hips. And again, think about keeping these shoulders open. Keeping that breath steady. Right hand plants onto a block or onto the mat. We sweep this left arm open, opening up the heart, drawing that shoulder blade down the back, and lifting that left arm. Inhaling here. On your exhale, left arm sweeps all the way down to frame that front foot, send the hips back, lengthen through that left leg. You can keep a little bend in that knee here. Just shoot some energy through the ball of that left foot. Take a minute to notice what's going on in the body here. Where are you feeling the stretch? Where are you feeling any tension? Where can you soften? And what's going on here between the shoulder blades? Can you draw them back, and can you move that heart forward as you fold? From here, bending back into that left knee, sweep this right foot behind you now. And we're coming into, again, this modified side angle. So give yourself as much space as you need here to bring this left knee kind of above that left ankle. And you can start out with left elbow to left thigh. Still keeping that opening. You can have the opening in the front of the body here by shrugging this right shoulder blade back. This is a great place to be. Maybe you take it a little bit further, take that left hand onto a block, onto the mat. Maybe from there, you extend the right arm up towards the sky. Keep pressing into every part of that left foot. Yes, amazing. And if you've got that left hand down, we're facilitating the opening by even pressing the left arm into that left leg and left leg kind of back into that left arm. Big inhale here. Exhale, sweep that right arm down. Take that right foot behind you. Open up this left side, lizard lunge. Thinking about what the front of the body's doing here. If you're down on your elbows, come up onto the palms. If you have that back knee lifted, lower it down. And then sweep that left leg back, finding your tabletop here. If you have a blanket down, you can remove it now. We're kind of done with being on the knees. So if you don't want it there while we're getting into standing poses, feel free to kind of move that out of the way here. In fact, there. From our tabletop, however you want to get there, whether you move through a vinyasa or you take a child's pose for a few breaths, we will meet in downward facing dog. Taking any movements that the body's asking for here. And then again, thinking about what's the front of the body doing? Where's the heart here? So we're drawing the head and the chest between these arms here. Are we still rounding the spine? Are we still kind of tucking the chin, taking that gaze? Can we draw the heart back towards the tops of the thighs here? Open up the shoulders, so shoulder blades roll down the back. Can you feel that it's that same sensation, that same sort of opening that we have when we're seated, when we're doing those other poses we were just doing? Take a slight bend in the knees here. Send the tailbone up towards the sky, and then take those heels down towards the earth here. On an inhale, lift that right leg. Point those toes down towards the floor here. So we're keeping hips square. Exhale, bend the knee, take that foot forward between the hands. Keep left knee lifted, draw yourself all the way up here. Lunge. Different options with the arms here. So whatever you'd like, whether it's hands at heart center, hands out in front, maybe you lift the arms and we think about that same thing we were just talking about in this downward dog, right? Of drawing those shoulder blades back, drawing this heart, keeping this heart open as those hands are lifted, right? You sit a little bit deeper in this right knee. So this standing sequence will take as many times as time will allow us here. We're about halfway through, so we'll see if we can get maybe 2 rounds on each side, maybe more. We'll move slowly. And then we'll notice how the body kind of changes through those shifts. So reverse the lunge here. Take that right arm all the way down. Keep reaching through that left arm as that right arm reaches for the back of that left thigh. Still breathing here, still squeezing thighs together. Keep that balance. And on an inhale, plant that left heel, open up, warrior 2. So again, facilitating the opening, shrug those shoulder blades towards each other. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Sit a little bit deeper in this front knee. Inhale, can you keep the length in the right and the left arm as you kind of tilt it back here? Reverse your warrior. Keep pressing down into every part of that left foot. Keep reaching nice and long here through this right side. Same thing we were working when we were seated. Can you draw left ribs down towards that left hip crease here? Maybe you even bring left hand to the hip. Notice if you can kind of grow out of the right side and start to draw those left ribs down. From here, Skandasana to the back of the mat. So start to shift the feet towards the back of the mat, bend that left knee, hands can come to heart center here. If we're kind of lifted here, you can keep the right toes down on the mat and just kind of start to bend into this left knee. If you want to come all the way kind of down into it, hike those right toes up, take that booty back a little bit. Keep the heart open here, even as you feel it maybe come forward. Not here for very long. One more big inhale. And on our exhale, lunge twist to the back of the mat. Right hand comes down, right heel sticks up to the sky. Open up that left arm to the sky here. Think about, where can I soften? Where can I open? Where am I maybe holding on to something that I can release here? Keep lengthening through the crown of the head, lengthening through that right heel. From here, still facing the back of the mat, start to launch yourself forward. So left hand will come down, right leg lift, half moon, back of the mat. Floating on that left hand, floating on that left foot. Maybe your left hand is on a block here. Sending energy through that right heel, right toes point towards what is now the right side of the mat. Right hand can be on the hip here. Maybe you lift and you extend through those fingers. Here we've got this hip open. We're going to close the hip off, come to a Shiva squat. So this right knee is going to come behind the left knee. Left knee can bend here. We've squared the hips now back to the top edge of the mat. You can still have hands down for this. Maybe you play with the balance. I don't have any other balancing poses. So this is kind of our balance pose here. Maybe the hands come to heart center. Keep this bend in the knees, start to draw the butt down. This is where maybe you take the hands down. We're coming to seated in that kind of twist. So however you want to get there, let's help face you here so you can see. Right foot is now out next to this left hip, and our left foot is crossed over that right thigh. If this is a lot for you, you can extend right leg long and just cross that left foot over the thigh. From here, coming into a twist. Inhale, lengthen the spine, open up the heart. Exhale, twist to the left. Right arm can wrap around that left knee, and your arm left fingertips behind you. Notice where the stretch is happening. Notice where you're feeling things. Maybe it's everywhere. One more inhale here. Exhale, twist back to the front. However you want to get there, whether it's easier for you to unravel the legs, or if you can kind of launch yourself forward, take both hands down, and then lift that right foot coming into a standing split. So again, hips are closed. Floating on that left foot, right toes point down. And we don't want to be loosey-goosey here. We really want to internally rotate this right thigh, point those right toes down towards the ground, shoot energy through that right heel. Fold forward, maybe towards that left leg. Can you keep the heart open here, right? This feels very closed off. We've got the hips are closed, our forward fold here, where we're just kind of folding inwards on ourselves. Can you find the opening here, even as everything else is closed off? Big breath in, reach long through the crown of the head. Exhale, step that right foot back. And lift yourself up. We're now at a lunge at the back of the mat. And it's apparent to me that we might only get through one of these on each side, and that's okay for today. We'll see how it goes. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up here if you can, and then take cactus arms. Sit a little bit deeper in that left knee. Cactus the arms. We've got elbows in line with the shoulders. And we're imagining the warmth of the sun here. If you're not already feeling the warmth from the body, imagine the warmth of the sun across the front of the body as you draw those shoulder blades back towards each other, draw the elbows open. Maybe you take this into a slight back bend here. So think about drawing out of the hip, lifting out of the hips, gaze lifts, finding that bend in the upper back here. So we're still opening through the front of the body. From here, we'll work our way back to the front of the mat. So taking that sequence again will bring us back there. So inhale, lift those arms. Exhale, keep that right arm lifted as you take that left arm back behind you, reverse the lunge. Keep reaching through this right side. Again, noticing, are you closed off in the shoulders? Is there an internal rotation here in this left shoulder? It's like reaching forward. Can you open it, reach it back? Big breath in here. Exhale, open up, warrior two, left knee is bent. Still facing the back of the mat. Don't worry, we'll reorient ourselves in due time. Warrior two, what are the shoulders doing? What's the face doing? Can you soften? Can you keep this length in the arms and this extension in the spine and the sides as you flip the front palm and just kind of pivot, tilt everything back here. Stay with the breath. Skandasana towards the front of the mat. So shifting feet towards the right. Take a bend in this right knee. Hands come to heart center. Maybe left foot stays planted. Maybe you get a little deeper. You send those left toes up towards the sky. You take the butt back. Still with this opening, we're not closing off here. Yes, lovely. From here, left hand comes down to the inside of that right foot. You plant those left toes, stick that left heel up, open up this right arm, lunge twist. See, we reoriented ourselves. We are back at the front of the mat. You don't have to peer over your shoulder at me. From here, draw right shoulder back. Really reach through right fingertips. You really want to work on that opening. Maybe you even take this right hand towards the back of the mat now. It's kind of impossible to have this shoulder closed off when you're reaching towards the back of the mat, right? Still squeezing those thighs together, still bringing that energy into the legs. Inhale, reach that right arm all the way forward in front of that leg. Hike yourself up, half moon pose. Opening up towards the left side of the mat. External rotation, this opening of this left thigh here. Left toes point towards the left side of the mat. Hips are open. Maybe they're stacked. Maybe the shoulders are stacked. Maybe you can work on drawing this left shoulder blade down the back, lifting that left arm. Keep reaching through the crown of the head. Keep breathing. We're closing it off now, Shiva squat. So hips come square to the front of the mat. Bend that right knee, bend that left knee, bring it behind the right knee. Maybe you float the hands. Keep lengthening through the crown of the head. And then we take it down. So you can place the hands down, take that left knee to the outside of the right foot, take the hips down behind you. We're now in our seated twisty twist. Once you get settled there, really planting down through the big toe side of this right foot. Again, you can have left leg extended nice and long here. Inhale, lengthen through the spine. Exhale, take a twist to the right. Left arm can wrap around that right knee here. Maybe right hands come behind you. Again, getting curious, noticing where things are showing up in the body. I was right. We only have time for one on each side, and that's okay. If you want later, you can repeat some of this. Inhale draws you back to the front. However you can get there, we're coming into our standing split. So maybe that's using your left hand to help launch the hips up, placing the hands down in front of you, really sending energy down into the ground through that right foot and lifting this left leg. Internal rotation of this left thigh. So it spins towards the center line of the body here. Left toes point down. Keep sending energy through left heel, through the crown of the head. Can you lift that left leg just a little bit more here? A little scrunch of the butt. Big breath in. And on the exhale, place that left foot behind you. Inhale, sweep the arms, cactus the arms. Looks like there we go. Send energy through the crown of the head, energy through that left heel as you sit a little bit deeper in this right knee, and then open up those shoulders. Maybe you lift the gaze, start to round the upper back here as you take a bit of a back bend. Big breath in. Exhale, take the hands down around that right foot. Send right foot back. We're in a plank pose here. Feel free to take the knees down. Press down into the palms. Big inhale. Exhale, either chaturanga or knees, chest and chin. Squeeze those elbows towards the ribs. Inhale as you draw those shoulder blades down, opening up the front of the body here. And exhale, tuck the toes. Downward facing dog. On an inhale, take the gaze forward. Exhale, take a walk to the top of the mat. Fold over the legs. Take whatever you need to here. Maybe opposite elbows. Maybe you grab some blocks and rest the hands on blocks. Whatever gives you a little bit of relief here, a little bit of release. On your next inhale, release the hands, lifting halfway up here. Exhale, fold. Inhale all the way up, Tadasana. Release the hands down at the sides. Take a moment here, close the eyes, come back inward, come back to yourself. Come back to the physical sensation of being in your body on the mat, in the room. Can you really plant down through every part of the feet here? You can blink open the eyes. I'm doing a little shimmy here, softening the shoulders. And then we'll just take a side stretch from our Tadasana. So whether you want to have feet together or feet hip distance apart, totally up to you, whatever your personal preference is today. Inhale, sweep the arms all the way up towards the sky. Imagine you're holding that big beach ball here. And on an exhale, take it over to the right. Lengthen through that left arm. Send those right ribs towards that right hip. Inhale back through center. Soften shoulders. Exhale over to the left. Inhale back through center, release the arms, come down onto the knees. So you can grab that blanket again here, maybe. I lied, we weren't done with it. We have one more. I told you we'd be working camel. So this time in our camel, get yourself situated on the knees. And if this isn't speaking to you at all, if you're kind of done with the back bends and the heart opening, feel free to just come down onto the spine. That's where we're headed next. And you can take whatever you need there, maybe a bridge pose or happy baby. We will meet you there in a little bit. If you're with me here in this camel, let's tuck the toes so that we're giving ourselves a little bit of extra space here with the heels, if that's where we're headed. We'll start where we were at the beginning. We're a little bit more open now. We've been facilitating all this opening. We've been facilitating all this lengthening in the sides. Those are kind of the two things that we need in this back bend, this heart opener. And we'll take that same pose that we took at the beginning of class. And I want you to notice if it feels any different. So hands can come to the hips, or if you're able to here, take those hands at the low back, plant the palms here into that kind of crease and point the fingers down towards the butt. Press down with the palms of the hands, like you're almost peeling yourself. God, that's a terrible analogy. You're really pressing the palms down to help lift out of that space, getting taller from the hips here. Can you draw the shoulder blades back, draw the heart forward as you start to lift the crown through the crown of the head and take it back here. So we can be here. This is enough. If you can breathe here and you want more, and you're able to still keep shifting those hips forward, maybe you see if you can reach a hand down to that heel. If you can reach a hand down to the heel, maybe, and still, as we're doing this, we still keep lifting through the crown of the head, sending those hips forward, lifting out of the hips. Maybe the other hand comes down and grabs those heels. I have not done this pose in a very long time, so not very open here. So again, you can still be in that part. If you want more here and you've got the fingers, you've got the heels, think about drawing those shoulder blades towards each other on the back, facilitating that opening in the spine. Keep sending the hips forward here as you're drawing the shoulders and the head back. This is as far as I can go, but if you want more, you can take the tops of the feet down, so you can untuck the toes. That's the word I was looking for, and come into it that way. So maybe you're there. Stay here, work on it as long as you want. And when you're ready, gently coming out the same way that we came in, you're going to shift the hips slowly back as you start to take that heart forward here. You might feel a little twinge in the low spine. We are about to get rid of that. We'll take knees wide, toes to touch. Start by settling, usually I think in our child's pose, we come with the hands forward. Here, sit the hips back and think about lengthening through the entire length of the spine as you sit those hips back towards the heels. And then keep the length in the spine as you kind of fold forward here and start to walk the hands out in front of you, coming into this child's pose. Noticing where you need that stretch, probably in the low back. It's a lot. Camel's a very intense back bend. So congratulations. That was a lot. And you did it. You were here for it. If the shoulders are feeling like they need that a little extra something here too, you could take hands to touch, bend the elbows, take the hands to the back of the neck here. Key thing is really stretching those hips down, taking that twinge out of that low back here, really thinking about keeping that length in the spine. Stay here as long as you need to. A few more breaths. And then when you're ready, making your way onto your back. Grabbing whatever props and clothing and things you might need here. I imagine we're all pretty warm, but then, we cool down pretty quickly. Grabbing whatever you need for Shavasana, we will come to lay on the spine. We'll get there very soon. Take the knees in towards the chest here. Give yourself a big hug. If your low back is asking for it, make some circles with the knees here, giving yourself a little massage. And then maybe you take a happy baby. Maybe you take a bridge pose. You've got a minute or so here to kind of choose your own adventure, whatever the body feels like it needs, or maybe you come straight into that Shavasana because your body's telling you that's what it needs. But a happy baby might feel really nice here. A little bit in the hips, send the heels up towards the sky, soften the shoulders down here, soften the pelvis, soften the tailbone. I wish you could see the cats right now. They're being insanely cute in the window, but unfortunately, that is no longer our view. And when you're ready, allowing yourself to fully release the feet down, allowing them to just kind of twist open here naturally, legs wide, arms down at the sides, palms facing up towards the sky. Maybe a bolster under the knees if there's any little low back pain here, bolster, pillow, whatever you've got around you. Maybe an animal, if you can rest on your dog. And same thing here, noticing anywhere we're holding tension, anywhere that we can release and soften. So maybe you even kind of walk those shoulder blades a little bit closer towards each other here to facilitate that opening across the front of the body, right? Closing the eyes, softening the jaw. So we're not clenching the teeth, softening the eyes, softening the belly. What are you holding on to? Can you, for the next few minutes, allow yourself to just be present? Present in this body, present in this space. Slowly begin to bring some awareness back into the body, finding soft movements here in fingers, toes, in the face. And then whenever you're ready, bending the knees, rolling over onto one side, and allowing yourself space to be graceful here, grateful, thanking yourself for taking time out of your day to connect with your breath and with your body. And when you're ready, gently propping yourself up to a comfortable seat, maybe not on the knees. We'll meet with heavy eyelids, hands anywhere on the body here that allows you to feel connected to yourself, to the rest of us, to this warmth that we've generated here, this inner warmth that we've brought out here in our heart space. Lightly tuck the chin, bow the head to your own inner wisdom, your own inner grace. Thank you all so much for showing up today, for sharing this practice. The light within me honors and celebrates the light that shines inside each and every single one of you. And thank you for spreading that light today. Namaste.